Hello everyone. Now, when we speak about Classic Plus, there is one idea that always gets brought up no matter where you go, and that is Gilneas. It's very understandable that it does, simply because Gilneas is there, it is kind of a mystery, it's a really cool zone, and also Turtle WoW actually created the Gilneas zone within their classic area. And of course, if we talk about Gilneas, we cannot avoid the point of talking about Worgen. Me personally, I think Worgen are a really cool part of World of Warcraft, even though, even despite what the internet has done to werewolves. But when I think about new races added to World of Warcraft, I can't really think of a race that has the possibility of adding such a positive impact and RPG feel to the world other than Worgen. That is, if it is implemented correctly. So I've just made this video on how I would implement Worgen into Classic Plus, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll see what I kind of see in the possibility of Worgen as a playable race. So starting off, you would need to unlock Worgen via a very long quest chain. This would naturally involve the Scythe of Elune and all that kind of pre-questing stuff that we've seen in Classic thus far. This questline would result in you eventually finding the Scythe of Elune and bringing it to Tyrande in Darnassus. You originally found the Scythe in Gilneas, so naturally you tell Tyrande about what's happened in Gilneas with the Worgen threat, and the questline concludes with you aiding the Night Elves in actually curing the Worgens of Gilneas. Upon completion, you get a pop-up window stating that you have unlocked the Worgen. You will be naturally confused by this because you just cured the Worgen. How can there still be Worgen once you've cured the curse? Now, I want to do a bit of a perspective shift. Worgen are not a new race. Worgen are simply just cursed humans. So when you go to the character creation screen, there is not a new race there. You will not see Worgen there. But if you click on humans, you will notice that humans actually have a body type C and D. When you click on C, the background will change from the human background to the Night Elf background, with the class selection being limited to Warrior, Rogue, Hunter, and Warlock. So I hope you can kind of appreciate the storytelling that's happening simply in the character creation screen. We can see that Worgen are still humans, and with the class selection being limited to Warrior, Rogue, Hunter, and Warlock, the player can kind of assume that the cure to the Worgen curse does not take to those with a certain vicious character about them. This is one thing I get kind of pissed off about with retail WoW, is that restrictions on classes, on races in terms of what they can be, is a very amazing way of RPG storytelling. And once again, with the background switching to Teldrassil, the player can kind of imagine that the cure did not take to these Worgen, so they have been taken back for further monitoring. Also, by making you have to go through human and select body types C and D, this shows the human prominent at the front and the Worgen behind. So rather than showing that in retail you are a Worgen that can turn into a human, you are a human with this dark side behind you. Now, say you make a Worgen, you make a Warlock. Class trainers for Warrior, Rogue, and Hunter are there for Night Elves in Teldrassil, but what about Warlock? Now, this is a really cool idea that I had. You make satyrs. There are a couple satyrs around Teldrassil, and you will find them out as a Worgen Warlock, and they will train you. Now, you still might not be sold on the RPG elements, but that's fine. I think the biggest RPG elements with the Worgen come from the racials. So, kind of hammering home the idea of you being a human with a Worgen curse, you would have a racial similar to Bloodlust or Berserking from the Orcs and the Trolls. This would turn you into a Worgen when you use it. Naturally, you would just turn back into a human once the buff is worn off. Just as is, it feels kind of cheap. It doesn't feel like Worgen are that much different from humans. There is something else I would add, however. Just like in Pirewood Village, I believe it's called, in Silverpine, you would turn into your Worgen form from 7 PM to 7 AM server time. This harkens to the idea that Blizzard had in the beginning, and I believe they implemented some of it where there would be different mobs and the world would change when it comes to nighttime as opposed to daytime. I believe this changes the feel immensely. World of Warcraft is not just a game that you pop in and it's stagnant. It's a world that you enter. It changes during its own time cycle, and you need to, and you see that. I believe this would create such really cool moments. Like, I'm grouping with someone, I'm doing quests with this guy. He hasn't used his racial, and then randomly 7 p.m. pops by and he just turns into a Worgen. I never knew. Like, there was no indication. Everything said he was human, and then he just pops out as Worgen. That would be incredible. That's such a cool moment. So yeah, thanks for watching this little video about what I think are the possibilities of Worgen in Classic Plus. And I hope you kind of see the potential of it. I think it'd be really cool. It doesn't necessarily need to be implemented. I'm not ride or die on this idea, but I'm just saying that it it has a lot of potential. And once again, thanks for watching. I just want to take this time to say any of the ideas that I spoke about in this, I hold no ownership over any of them.